You boys know what's about to happen to you. You leave now.
Some consider these traits to be toxic, such as undesirable in the men of today. We consider these traits such as these not only to be desirable, but to be appreciated and celebrated. Welcome to the Toxic Male Appreciation Show, hosted by and La Reina Creole. Welcome to the safe space for the toxic male.
Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm Lorena Creole, and of course, with me is my wing woman, her of positive fandom, and this, of course, is the Toxic Male Appreciation Podcast, where we like to talk about pop culture, but also appreciating all of you quote unquote toxic men out there, the men that Hollywood says there's something wrong with you because how dare you want to exude traditional masculine values?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we are here to remind you that we are watching. We are just appreciating everything the toxic male has to offer, all of that strong masculinity,
Yes,
all the testosterone, all the just badassery. We are there because we love it and we love you guys.
absolutely. And there was this show that I used to watch when I was a kid. Now, it's like you come home from school and there's like a animation block, so to speak. So I'd get there in time to watch the tail end of the Thundercats.
Mm-hmm.
I'd see that, and I'm like getting my snack, in the kitchen and everything.
Get your juice box.
Yeah, a little bit, because there was a show that I wanted to watch before the big show, which for me was, She-Ra. I loved
Hmm.
watching She-Ra. I had to watch She-Ra, but the show before that was He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. I
I
mean,
power.
He-Man. I'm like, oh my God. I'm just sitting there, I'm just like, I love this. I love this. All these male heroes, I freaking love this, just about truth, justice, protecting people, whipping the hell out of the bad guys, and you learn something, at the end. They have that, that little lesson that Adam would come up and Adam as He-Man would come up and tell you. Because you used to watch that show too. Am I correct?
Absolutely. I used to watch it, and I also used to watch G.I. Joe and
Oh yes.
Transformers. Yes, and Transformers also and G.I. Joe also had the lesson at the end, and, I just loved that at the end. I think that was such an important part of the show, but it certainly, had a lot of incredible elements, to it, and we were very lucky to get, animation like this that kind of pushed the limits and really kind of made you think. I think we were at a very special time in the 80s to even see all that. And it actually went into the 90s too, a little bit into the 90s. But yeah, those Saturday morning cartoons, I remember them so well, Lorena, and I'm sure you do have very fond memories of so many episodes. It was a wonderful time.
Yes, it most certainly was. Now, folks, we are going to be giving you our impression of Masters of the Universe Revolution. However, before we do this, we have to go in the Wayback Machine.
Way back.
Way back. I know it's going to be painful, but trust me, y'all, this is going to pay off. Because I don't know where else you're going to get where you're going to have two women who love toxic men
Hmm.
talk about how much they love He-Man, how they've actually watched, well, at least I have. I haven't had a chance to ask her if she's had a chance to watch it yet. Watch Masters of the Universe Revolution, but both her and I watched and coincidentally met because of this abomination called Masters of the Universe Revelation.
Yeah. It was quite an eye-opening, and I kind of coyly described some of the events in it as really just kind of silly, and there was a lot of unusual looking characters who didn't follow in suit the way we envision and remember them in the He-Man of our childhood. And even maybe more importantly was that outfit that one of the characters wore that I said it was literally right at her clitoris. Like, it was the most disgusting thing I'd ever.
I'm never forgetting that ever.
And there were all sorts of things like, well, make sure you wear, if you're going to hit it, make sure you wear put a bag over it or something like that. Or like, it was very odd comments, very odd innuendos, very odd hints. It was really not their best foot forward. It was just kind of embarrassing and not a fun watch. I felt like even in some cases, it just wasn't even aesthetically in good taste. It was not a great story.
Mm-mm.
And it left me very unfulfilled. I don't know anybody who enjoyed this version of Masters of the Universe, if they want to call it that. It was so poorly executed, and you and I had a lot to say about it, Lorena. We talked about this to a point where it was just so shocking in some parts, and maybe just such a horrible aesthetic to it. The writing, the animation, I felt, while it looked good, the execution of the characters was very poor. And it had some cool concepts that didn't go anywhere, because when kind of have this very odd approach to a classic animated story, it won't work. They had some very progressive and maybe even some unsubstantiated stories in there. Maybe the clitoris outfit was just really disgusting, but also like the destruction of Grayskull Castle, I think, was another one I didn't care for, because that castle's like the heart of the story. Every kid I knew growing up had Grayskull Castle. You went over to their house and they had it. Like, that castle was there. And they'd all be playing with it, and I just, it was such a good memory. And for them to kind of be disrespectful towards the castle and pretty much towards the entire basis of the story, it was a disappointment. They killed Orko, right? Remember all this kind of crazy, like, just craziness. It was not well executed. It was not a great story. We were all wondering why. There was so much that could have been done with it that would have made it shine. And I think that overall, we got the raw deal, Lorena. We got a raw deal. I know that there was even more, let's say, in regards to the creator's background and what was promised. But even if they decided to switch the story, this is not a great story. It's not.
No, it really is not. It's not a great story at all. And this is basically my takeaway from Masters in the Universe Revelation. Hang in there with this, folks. Trust me, this is worth it. This picture pretty much sums up everything that I consider to be wrong about this show. He-Man is missing. Okay, the fact that they prison shanked him twice.
And it was weird, like in a hole. Like the sword had to go in this weird hole.
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah, it was weird. They had to take him out. Adam wasn't even like the Adam that we remember from He-Man. I mean, Adam was still kind of buff. When he was Adam. I mean, not, Jack when he was He-Man, but close enough. But this very timid Adam, this very low T Adam was a slap in the face. I'm like, no, that is not the Adam that I remember. And then of course here you have Orko, which just no, not I call not Orko. Then you have Andra, and then you have Tila, and then you have Evil Lynn, and they all just look so not freaking feminine at all. There's just they look angry, they look pissed off. And it's just like, why do you who the heck wants to watch this? You know, it's like through the whole thing, and just, the women can do everything. When in Masters of the Universe for He-Man, that wasn't how things were at all with the female characters that were in the show. And that's pretty much a slap in the face. And that's why Kevin Smith is pretty much he who should not be named with this at all, considering what happened. So I should have known something was up, that when Revolution was coming out, you hardly heard a peep from Kevin Smith. I didn't even know the sucker was coming.
Yeah, and that's a good point. We weren't told anything, and I do want to say, while it is true he made some comments, I'm not making an excuse for him. It's not he, along with a group of people, are responsible for what came out. So
heck yeah.
I'm not solely saying it's just him. I'm saying he and a team of people who decided to go with that aesthetic and those choices, and it was not what I would consider the best decision. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, he wasn't the sole person to blame for that distasteful clitoris outfit. But certainly you're right. And I think, Lorena, with this new show, so there's a new one. There's a new one.
Yes.
And I think what's so funny is that I'm not going to say the poster is the exact same. One is called Revelation and the other one is called Revolution. And it's incredibly similar in name. It's incredibly similar, maybe even in the poster. But Lorena, when you see who the voiceover actors are for this show, you immediately go, oh, wait a minute. I know that voice. Oh, wait a minute. Freaking what's his name? Not William Shatner, but the other guy. Oh, Keith David's in this. And you and I were talking about him the other day when we were watching him in They Live. And then you can hear Keith David's voice. And you know something? This is why I love voice acting. This is why I like audiobooks. This is why I like podcasts, because there's still so much talent that an actor can give. They don't have to dress up in a costume. They don't have to do any of that. I enjoyed this. It felt as if it were them. Of course, we have Shatner. Lorena, I knew that this was something very different when I saw the list of actors. Mark Hamill plays Skeletor. But I didn't know what the story was going to be like. And I'm sure you had the same experience. You saw who was in it. You're like, yeah, I love Keith David. Yeah, I love William. Yeah, I love Mark Hamill. But what is this story going to be like? Like that was the first thing that I thought. I said, please let it be interesting at least. But I didn't know what I was in store for. And I was completely caught off guard by what we got.
Well, girl, I didn't know about the voice actors. And I was almost going to skip this total freaking thing over. And then I said, okay, well, I blame Geeky Sparkles of Clownfish TV, because she saw it and then it popped back up on my radar. I'm like, okay, I'll go to Netflix. I'll go see, what it is. And then when I pulled up Netflix and saw the art, I said, I gotta hit play. Literally. When I saw this, and I cannot overemphasize enough what this one single piece of art does compared to Revelation.
Absolutely, Lorena. And of course, I kind of am laughing about it a little bit because of what we heard Evelyn say, who we actually hear her real name in this version,
Yes.
where she does this, because what she did was exactly what I would do. Adam and Tila sitting K-I-S-S-I-N-G. That would have been me. Like, I would have totally said that. And I think, boy, was it satisfying to see a show like this where we have real romance with people who really love one another and give gazes towards another that are genuine. You know, this is some serious animation, beautiful animation. Adam has like
Gorgeous.
he has like different looks in this. He's got,
Yeah.
like got the shorter hair and then he's got the kind of like, I'm not gonna call it like, let's just say more country style long hair, where he's
Mm-hmm.
like that. And then he's got he's got this different kind of appeal to him. But so does Tila, where she looks like a woman, where she's
Yes.
got hips, she's got beautiful hair, she's walking around, and then she goes through these incredible sexy transformations where she's like this, and she's like a freaking stick. And even Evelyn is like, damn, Tila. Like she's looking, she's like, oh yeah, I guess I'm like, Evelyn, you knew this shit was gonna happen. You didn't say anything. Damn, this has been an incredibly interesting indicator, because we get these indicators when we're watching shows, Lorena. When you see something like this, it implies they're going to have a romantic relationship. I don't care what
Yes.
anybody says. I don't care what people say. Well, it doesn't mean. Yes, it does. They put things in here as messages for you to understand there's going to be a romantic relationship. You see a man and woman looking at each other like that, they have either slept together, they either want to sleep together, or they're thinking about sleeping together. That's what this means. And we get these messages. It's very deliberate. It's very indicative of what's going on. Why the hell, as a woman, wouldn't you want to sleep with this Adam? Look at him. He looks fierce. He looks badass. And she's like, just take me, Adam. Take me away. We know what she's thinking because we're thinking it. And immediately, you're like, oh shit, what the hell is going on with this show? Oh my God. So yes, Lorena, I think when it comes to these incredible beats in this particular animated series of 5 episodes, but 5 episodes packed with very important beats, and each step as you're
Yes.
watching it tell a very specific story. It's not just friendship.
No. No.
It's not just friendship.
No. It's not just friendship, and everyone else around them knows that it's not. Case in point. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna kind of spoil this part because it is true. It's in the
Spoilers,
beginning.
spoilers, guys.
Spoilers. They pulled a Donner Superman move in this particular film, because what happened is basically the king, I don't know, something happened, and he was gonna die, and he does die in this. But before he does, he makes it a point to tell his son how much he loves his wife, and thanks his wife for giving him his son, Adam, and tells Adam that he wants him to know that same time of joy that he had with being married to his mother. I'm like, I'm sorry. Is this from the same people who did the previous one with Tila screaming about it's all about me, it's all about me, it's all about me, and you didn't tell me you were He-Man or whatever? And
And I
in this
can't ever
show,
forgive you for that.
how dare you? I can ever forgive you for that. Oh my God, resting bitch face Tila. That's pretty much what we got. So thankfully, they switched the voice actress. So we're not hearing Sarah Michelle Gellar anymore. But even
She
beyond
was
that,
not, to be honest with you, Lorena, I think Sarah Michelle Gellar is a very talented actress and voice actress, but this was not the right role for Sarah Michelle Gellar.
no,
I love her.
it was not.
I've watched her like for maybe 25 years, and so I'm sure you have. We've watched
I
her in
love her on Buffy.
I watch her in Cruel Intentions. I keep rewatching her, but this was not right for her.
No, it really wasn't. But the voice actress that they have now, she has the depth to Tila's voice when Tila's just like, I have to help Adam. And literally, that's through the whole entire 5 episodes. She wants to help Adam by bringing back Paternia so his father can go to, you know, his eternal rest and his reward. That's what she wants to do. But I'm not going to spoil what comes after that. But let's just say that's a very selfless thing that's going on through this when it comes up when it comes to her. But everyone else around them knows that Adam and Teela, you know, they feel a certain kind of way about each other. You can see in their faces and mannerisms, I'm like, you know, okay, I like you, you like me, but I don't know what we're supposed to do about that. You know, just that awkwardness, you know, in the beginning, but it's very real. And like you said before, relationships between human beings, especially relationships between men and women, is something that's sorely lacking in entertainment. And we got that all the time in He-Man during the cartoons. And that's what we're used to seeing. And I'm so glad that it's come back in this. And not only just just with the relationships, all of the female characters in this show, in Revolution, look like women.
Yes,
Look very feminine.
that is a huge noticeable difference, that the female characters look very feminine, and there is absolutely no mistaking them for anything other than women. The men look like men. You know, this is absolutely appropriate in that regard too. And also we have what I would call a revamped Skeletor. You know, he looks more badass, like, you know, more modern. He's gonna look more right. He's a different type,
Yes.
an incredibly complex, evolved villain that I'm still just totally fascinated by, in a sense, in this series. We also have some other characters. I have to rewatch it. Yeah, look at how good he looks.
This looks so cool.
Yeah, he looks good.
I I love it. He looks awesome. Skeletor is supposed to be just this badass villain that you cannot turn your back on, and I love how he seems to come off like he's a joker, but he's very serious.
He's
As Hordak found out with, you know, that box that box that he gave him. I'm like, oh, this is like 7.
and it's really interesting because he's complex. Mark Hamill does such a good job with the voice. And every time I
Mhm.
listen, I'm like, oh my God, it's Mark Hamill. Oh my God, it's Mark Hamill. I'm like, okay, okay. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be great. I think what they did was that they had enough of the what we remember of Skeletor. He, first of all, is 100% Skeletor, but there's
Yes.
when you look at this character, when you look at the way he looks, there's enough of Skeletor in it that it does feel very familiar. However, they did make him look more technologically advanced, more sophisticated, more
Mhm.
dangerous than
Yes.
what we remember of Skeletor.
Very much so. And you couple the external with the internal workings that are going on, the split, I'll call it the split personality.
Yeah.
Not, oh my gosh, why am I going to say Randor? But William Shatner does the voice.
Yes.
And it's so crazy flipping between Shatner's voice, you know, and Mark Hamill's voice. And it's just, it's a joy to watch. I mean, just it's a different dimension to it. So not only is it like a physical change, but there's also like this psychological edge to it too.
Yeah, and that's a very good point that you make, Lorena, because there is a lot of, you know, this is maybe even higher level He-Man, in a sense, because there is a kind of this new technology that's shown. Mind you, we've seen it before, but we've never seen it like this. And there is much more when it comes to the abilities of the characters in He-Man now. And, you know, we needed to take a little bit of further jump in the sense of what we see, and it's taken that step to a point where it is realistic, it's believable, and of course that would be the next step of what's happening. Lorena, the technology that we saw in the previous iteration of this to now it's even more terrifying. I mean, it was cool before, and now it's just really terrifying. It almost feels, kind of like the Borg in Star Trek. In the
Yes.
when they whatever they're doing, they kind of have these feelers, and there are some photos of it where that's coming out. And as far as I'm concerned, that was just terrifying. And I love that there is something else out there that they have to fight against, that it was like something we've never really seen before.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. It added another edge, to it. Does one of the things that I've seen in anime where you never count the villain out. He's coming back like it's these 2 or 3 times, and it's just the level of Skeletor coming back stronger than ever it was just perfect. It's that kind of thing that kept you on the seat, your edge of your seat as a kid. It's like, is the hero really good? Is he really gonna win? I don't know. It looks like he's down for the count, because the villain seems so invincible. So yeah, I absolutely I love Skeletor in this. I'm gonna flip back over here, because this is kind of what I was telling people, what we were talking about how feminine the characters look. Andra, she's got short hair, but her features are a lot more feminine than they used to be.
She's beautiful. Andra's
She's
beautiful.
freaking gorgeous.
She's got this cool hairstyle. She, like, you can see a little bit more of her curves. Her
Mm-hmm.
arms are not as big as, He-Man's. She also has just really, I'm not going to say makeup. She just has really cool looking, let's say, eyebrows and lipstick, if you will, because I think maybe the
Yes.
women are wearing lipstick. But yeah, maybe it is makeup, but she just is already, even without the makeup, she'd look great. And look at how cool she looks. She looks badass. Just really
Mm-hmm.
hot, and kind of hot. The same for Tila. Both of them are rocking it. Um, it's amazing. Adam has his hair like that there, but it does change. Like it gets a little bit longer.
Yes.
And I'm like, he's got that. I call it the country music hairstyle. It's like a little bit longer. Some of the country music stars have longer hair, and they'll wear it like that. That this one's a real retro short, but certainly here, these are people who look after themselves and want to look their best, and that's what we expect from these characters, because they've always looked good. We're not expecting that one.
Yeah.
That one. I love Adam here. It felt very. I'm not going to say maybe Thor, but in that,
Yeah.
look, where he's evolving, and he just gets more badass and more badass in this
Mhm.
as it goes on. It's amazing.
Absolutely. And talking about that transformation, yes, another spoiler. He does not transform alone. Now in Revolution, in Revelation, they did separate transformations. In Revolution, they transformed together. And the reason that they transformed together is that he had to go and save her.
Yes, this is pretty clear. He was like, I gotta go get Tila. It's like, where's my girlfriend? I maybe they were not officially girlfriend and boyfriend, but I think they were. But I just like how he's like, we're not done. I'm gonna have to go get her and see how she's doing. And it was very interesting, because she wasn't like, I like that she had to go through this transformation, and it wasn't like she was being taken advantage of, or any like tricked or anything like that. It was something that was transformative, but it wasn't like evil or anything like that. It was trying to get the power and learn how they were going to bring things back to the way it used to be, bring things back to normal, to restore. Obviously, as you said, his father died, but also other things to restore the balance of what they know in their real world. Everything was, when it starts off, everything's all topsy-turvy. And they needed a series just to bring things back to normal, back to what we expect in a show of this caliber, with the ethics that are involved in it, with the storyline that's involved in it, the character development in this. This was really amazing. I think when we see Adam here as He-Man, this is the He-Man version of Adam. And it's funny because in a number of times, Lorena, I think his mother says, well, you don't need the sword to fight. And I was like, yeah, he doesn't. Like she didn't say that sword is shit, you don't need it, like, or if you're gonna break the sword, she didn't say that. She's like, you can still go and fight. Remember, you can still fight for what you believe in, even without the sword. And I almost thought, I was like, are they going to talk about it at the end? It's like, I don't have a sword like He-Man. You don't need a sword like He-Man to fight for what you believe in.
Exactly. Until next time, and he rides off on Battle Cat.
And it's like, that'd be the lesson. But they actually did have a lesson at this, but I thought maybe that was going to be the lesson, because she so deliberately said it. You don't need a sword to fight. You can go and fight and still be a good person. And I'm like, yeah, you can. You can do this, Adam. You're freaking badass, man. So I think it was really interesting that, and maybe it was a good thing that they kind of did that, because he is damn strong. Like, he's not a weakling. Adam is a badass man without the sword. So I'm glad that they touched on that, on the importance of his masculinity and what masculinity can do without a sword. You guys don't need a sword. You men are amazing anyway.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that point up, because there were other ways to fight. He's concerned about his mother. He's concerned about his friends. He's concerned about the kingdom. But at no time did anyone in the show put him down for that. Well, in the series, put him down for that at all. And that is a very important lesson, especially for young boys to see. And I was just like floored. I'm just like, yeah, you need to put that in there, and his mother, telling him that, you're one of the strongest people I've ever known, because of how much you care about, about others, and about protecting others. I was like, I'm sorry, is this the same show? Well, not the same show, but it's like, okay, by the same people doing this particular show. But what I think is that they got the message when the fans basically said with Revolution, no, sorry, with Revelation, I can't keep them, they're all R's. They were just like, no, this is not the He-Man that we remember. This is not the He-Man that we grew up with. And to give us something like this and call it, you put He-Man in it, in name only, you can't expect us to show up for this. So I've heard some people say, well, I'm done with it. And I said, that really is, that's Kevin Smith and company's fault for doing that. But in order for pop culture to get better, you need to highlight when things are done right. And with Revolution, it was done right. You had female characters that were there, male characters that were there, but they all worked together. None of them could do all of this on their own. And I think that is like the best part of this whole entire installment here.
Yeah, Lorena, there was certainly a lot of I guess they worked as a team and they realized what was at stake, but there was also a lot of confidence, especially when it came to Orko. And another character whose name I can't remember, but
This little hobbit looking thing.
yeah, when they were working on the sword and doing magic, it felt very much like the series we grew up with. Their level of confidence with magic. There wasn't, well, they died because Orko fucked up or anything like that. There was nothing like that, right?
No, it was not. No.
Yeah. So we didn't have any of that weirdness, that oddness, that uncomfortable things going on that we had in the series. And I had to go back because it'd been so long since we looked at the original series that came out, the Revelations, that it was so off kilter from anything we had seen before. Mainly I think it was created for shock value. I
I
thought about it
agree.
for a long time, and I said it deviated so far into the unknown, and
Mhm.
we're not even just talking about one character. I know some people were speculating that the character could be something different. We didn't necessarily get that. We got, these sort of odd, contrived characters with unfounded beefs against everybody. And,
Yeah.
just, here's the pain train. I had a bad day and everybody's going to have a bad fucking day. That's what we ended up with. And I think that whole thing was just meant to cause tension, and it did cause tension. And, it was like this really elongated story that went nowhere, but just destroyed everything that you enjoyed. It was meant to have, maybe not be an encouraging show. There was nothing encouraging in it. And I think that it was a cautionary tale when we got something from this, which was probably a shorter series, less
Mhm.
episodes, but more content, better fighting scenes, more badass baddies, incredible incredible recreations of, beautiful characters. We saw so many incredible things in the new version, and I see that that's the one from before.
Yeah, this is the one from before, and
2021. Wow.
2021, and get to, what we have, what we have with this. It was just so so compact with the story that it was a wonderful, wonderful um upgrade. And I'm very glad that they did this, because it was sorely needed. Gave me the feelings of like when I was a kid watching He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. We got beautiful animation, but at the heart of it was the actual story, you know, stories of how families can not only hurt you the most, but they can also heal you, you know, the
Yeah.
most.
And I think that there was a huge problem with family in the first series, where there wasn't the family support. And you know,
Mhm.
the family had been broken up. And you mentioned this, Lorraine. You were talking about how the queen couldn't forgive the king, and it was like, I couldn't remember the reason. She was angry at him for some reason, so they were separated, remember? And
Was it because he knew that Adam was He-Man, but she
yeah, maybe
didn't?
maybe some shit like that. For this
Ugh.
secret, everybody was angry, no one was talking to each other.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
like, I've seen plots like this in soap operas, but maybe not animated stories like this, where they focusing more on values, which is what a lot of He-Man stories are focused on. But I have to say that in the final analysis of things, they stepped up the storytelling elements, they stepped up the acting elements, and they stepped up the character development and the way that the overall animation looks to a level that I would say we were probably all expecting them to do. And,
Mhm.
you know, after these 5 episodes, I'm ready to see more episodes.
Oh, girl. Yeah, me too.
Adam and Sheila sitting in a tree.
I'm loving I'm absolutely, absolutely loving this, and loving at the end, it turns out, no more monarchy, we're gonna have a representative government. I'm
I
like,
know,
"Okay."
I was so shocked by that. I was like, "What?" So
I
that was
was.
different.
That was definitely different, but something, again, something that's cool, something that shows real, relationships between men and women, where men aren't demonized for, hey, that's my girl, I'm gonna go get her. Women aren't shown as weak because they're like, hey, I'm attracted to masculine, not only just a masculine man, but a man who stands up for what is right. And they're just having this like BS discussion. He-Man's like, well, I don't have any place to live now. And Teela's like, well, you can come hang out at my place. It's a crazy person locked up in the basement, but it's pretty cool. And they do this, and they do this banter back and forth, and I'm just like, wow, this is the type of relationship slash cartoon fun moment that I loved watching as a kid.
And
And
no, you're right,
oh, you're
Lorena,
right.
and another thing I was gonna say is it reminded me it's almost touching the level of anime because, we see in anime
Mm,
there's a lot of fancy romance, there's a lot of beauty in what we're seeing, and this became very beautiful and romantic, and, like, there's a reason why I watch Under the Oak Tree animation, there's a reason why I watch some of these romantic anime things, like, what you and I
oh,
watched, was it called
my
called
hair
My
marriage.
Name?
Oh, we watched Your Name.
Your
Oh my
Name.
gosh, yes.
We're watching things like that because we wanna see the romance between people, and that was so good. I mean, this really felt like even the shot, as you said, between the coloration, the looks on their face,
Hmm.
this is the level of what people like in anime is what we're seeing right here in this photo.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And do they kiss? Well, guess what? You're gonna have to watch to find out because I'm not gonna freaking tell you. I'm not gonna tell you. I'm not gonna tell you. But what I will say is I'm glad I gave this a chance. I'm glad you gave this a chance. It definitely paid off. It is definitely a step in the right direction. I'm very glad that it
Mhm.
seems like they listened to what the fans said about the first installment and seriously improved upon it. So I'll ask you this: do you think anyone should bother going back and watching Revelation
No,
before
I don't think
watching
they should
this?
ever touch that ever again. I think they should
Yeah, I totally agree. Burn it with
walk
fire.
away from it. Just walk away and just start on this one.
Yeah.
Like, even though they have to repair things in the beginning of this, which I thought they didn't have to do that, like, they didn't have to put that in this particular series, but they wanted to for a
Hmm.
reason. They wanted to say, "We're overturning all of that stuff from before," and um it's not necessarily saying that they think it's bad. What they're doing is it automatically gave them a purpose for doing this show, let's say this season, and maybe later in the year we'll have a second season where they are back with Skeletor or some issues with Skeletor, or
Hmm.
whatever way it works out. But they wanted to they didn't just want to pretend like that last season didn't happen. So I do want to mention that by them purposely focusing on a previous season, they're not ignoring that it exists. So, I just want to kind of like when you're watching this, just be aware that all the stuff that they're overturning, you don't need to really see it. You don't really need to see it. You just be aware it's like, oh, heaven is gone. I have to bring it back. Okay, I got that. Oh,
Hmm.
Greystoke, the castle's gone. I got to bring that back. Okay. Oh, this other stuff has to be fixed. The technology. Okay. So like you could watch this and you don't have to necessarily have seen the previous season, but they certainly are acknowledging that it happened.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And another point before I forget, because it is relevant to the whole toxic male type of thing. The whole relationship between Adam and his father, absolutely beautiful.
I love you, Dad. Dad, I'm so proud of you. I'm there by his bedside. I respect my father's wishes. He's the
Mhm.
best man I've ever known. I could never live up to him. It was like this incredible eulogy. And, he's not mad at his dad, and his father's not mad at him. And I like that they have a normal, healthy relationship. And Lorraine, I think that this series shows that even when you fall off the tracks and have a tangent, whether it's a sequel of movies or whatever it is, you can always go back. You can always go back. This might be one of the best and greatest comebacks of an animated series I've seen in a long time, because it wasn't easy to watch those previous seasons, but you can always bring it back. You can always turn it around, guys. So don't despair. As you said, I know you'd said that other YouTuber mentioned something about it. You can always go back and enjoy. See, this is what you can do when you do it right.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Even to the point of Battle Cat coming to the realization, wait, all you needed to do was hug me to get me to transport. He's like, again, little things like that, which is why we love the He-Man series.
And I
Good
might buy
stuff.
that poster, this Revolution. I might get, like, if they do some artwork, you know how like they'll have companies that do the artwork, like Bottleneck
Mhm.
Galleries or Acme or whatever it is. I might buy a poster from this one because this one was fun. I loved
I like that.
some of the transformations of the characters in this. It was fun. And we saw a lot of the classic characters. We saw a lot of things we're expecting to see in it. We saw the floating machines. I'm calling them floating machines, whatever it is, like, you know, so-and-so ship or whatever. I don't
Yeah.
thing works. It's just cool to see them flying around and right, you know, it's like, oh look, it's so and so, and then they're flying around. You know, you're like, oh my god, you know,
That's
it's
so cool.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So they did that, like they captured it. We don't care how it works. We just want to
Mm-mm.
see it and enjoy it and have fun with it. And there was a lot of that in here. And I want to see more artwork like this. I want to see the fun of it. Look at how badass Skeletor is. Like, look, I know this is a Adam and Tila victory, but I'm still here, yo. I'm still here. Like it's
Digitized going on. It's so cool. It's so cool. Oh, and I gotta give props to my girl Evelyn.
yes, yes.
She's down there. She finally has, all of her gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous hair. And
Yes.
I absolutely, absolutely adore it. I'll actually show you. It's like you can actually see it better here. I love it.
I love
I
the
love it.
relationship that she has with the dragon. Like she's fierce,
Mm-hmm.
you
The
know?
dragon voiced by John Delancey, just to let you guys know.
Who doesn't love a dragon? This was
I
fun. It
know.
was, you know, I think that Evelyn, as you said, Lorena, my mother's sister's name is Evelyn. So my mother's like cracking up as we're watching this. Sorry, Auntie Evelyn.
I loved it.
But it
I,
was just she was so beautifully done and she wasn't
mm-hmm.
ridiculous. And
No.
you know, even she could have a laugh. I see a lot of her character. I think like in, let's say, a regular woman, Evelyn reminds me of a regular woman. That's how we are. We're like this character. And you know, she's mature and you know, has well trained in whatever she's capable of doing. We even heard her real name, Lorena. They acknowledged her like, oh, it is so and so. And I'm like, oh my God, someone recognized Evelyn? Oh my God. Of course they would. She's clearly a working professional, Lorena, just like you and I.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. With the ability to come up with such highbrow comebacks, says you couldn't possibly think He-Man would want you when you know that I am the wind underneath his loincloth. I'm like, did I hear what I just freaking heard?
Mhm.
Which is much better than talking about trying to get it on with Skeletor. But
Or hopping on his freaking throne. Like,
yeah.
come on. Even I don't think she would be caught in that kind of a compromising. I call it a compromising position. She would never be caught in that kind of a compromising position. She would have turned the lights off, people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Because let's face it, she doesn't have any respect for Skeletor, which is why she keeps talking crap at him.
Yes. So, you know, come on. You know, she can do so much better than that, guys.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, folks, we definitely wanted to give you the lowdown about Masters of the Universe Revolution from two chicks who grew up watching the original show. So, we're not just blowing smoke at you. So I'm so glad that you could be with me here to talk about this. I'm so excited. I'm so glad you got a chance to watch it. But before we go, please do let everyone know where they can find you.
Well, guys, you can always find me on Positive Fandom, where I do all the parlay on the fandom on Sundays, but you can also find me on the Burr Network as well, where I do PGS reviews, PGS watch parties. I also do a Friday night show called Midnight Musings. But you can also find me on my new channel, Roman Empire Matters, where I have recorded shows. I have a podcast as well as reviewing different Roman Empire shows. So you can find me there too. And sometimes you can find me on Reina Creole's channel as well. And thank you so much for having me today, Lorena. I'm so
Oh,
glad that we could talk about this fantastic new show.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. I had to go ahead and talk about it with you, so I'm so glad you're available to do this with me. I so appreciate it. So appreciate it. But now, folks, now that you've watched the video, we need to hear from you. Let us know in the comments. Do you plan on watching Masters of the Universe Revolution? And if you have watched it, let us know what you thought about it. Are we kind of like way off base here? Are we over to target? Let us know. We like seeing that banter in the comments, hearing from all of you. So thank you so much for supporting the Toxic Male Appreciation Podcast. Please do make sure that you subscribe to my girl, a Positive Fandom. Make sure you're subscribed to me. Hit that like button, and we will see you next time. You
Bye.
gentlemen stay toxic. Bye.